Well, this isn't actually what I was planning to do today. But there was a bit of a noise. There's been a bit of a noise at the back of the Spitfire, I've noticed recently. So I thought I would at best look what was wrong. And that's playing the diff. So the other side is not, nothing else is moving. Only this is play before it actually picks up against the input and the other output side. So I think the diff is quite worn. Now fortunately, I was given one a few months back, and this is off of a late Hell 1360, same ratio, just different casing number. And this actually sat on a shelf in the workshops of the Miniature Railway in South Shields for like 20 or 30 years. And it, you can see, as soon as I move one output flange, it's being picked up on the others. So we've not got any worry about backlash there. So what I'm going to do is clean it, paint it. Well, no. I'm going to drain it, clean it up, paint it. As it's out, I'm going to put a drain hole in the bottom of it and chuck it in the car. Because with the feel of the backlash on that, well, it's not really worth trying to drive that around, is it? And this one seems to be good, so let's use it. So yeah, let's get on with that. So I've started scraping the muck off. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch that. But that's where the case number is. So it's a GE 77422. And that puts it probably late 1970, maybe 1971-ish. Because by comparison, this is in the 64,000 range for its numbers. And that's December 1969. So this is going to be, in the region of 20,000 cars later, which is going to put it towards the end of the production run. I'm going to keep scraping. Okay, ready to go to the next stage, degreaser and probably pressure washer. But of course, look at the drain hole. That actually doesn't look like horrendously bad oil, so it's also promising. If it's raining, you don't need to rinse it off so much. Anyway, various types of degreaser and the pressure washer are being employed, and here we're mostly clean enough to handle, if you don't touch some of the bits I mentioned this. Anyway, I'm going to go and order some, I think I've got a front seal, but I'm going to order some of these because I could see there were leaks. So before it goes in, it needs the seals replacing. It's also going to need at least one bush here because that one's disintegrated. And I'll probably also have to get some rust treatment because I'm not going crazy on this. I do not want a show quality differential. You are not going to find me being one of those people who turns up to a show and puts a mirror under their car. So it's going to get a bit of Genelite or something and then cut black paint and it will be fine. And I'll probably never have to look at it, hopefully never have to look at it again. Also I need to get a drill bit for the drain plug. I think I've got the tap. I've definitely got drain plugs kicking around. Anyway, we'll come back to this when all of that's turned up. Right, I've gone and ordered the bits I want, and I'm going to start the fight with these bushings now because I bet they're going to be not a lot of fun to get out. I'll try and shift the middle first. Okay, I had a read and they're very much press in, press out ones. This feels a bit, don't try this at home, I have to say, but it does seem to have worked. There we go. find something to actually be able to press on the edge of the bushing. It doesn't actually look that bad, really. But they were cracked, and it would be a bit daft to try and keep them on. Smells of gear oil. Right, well, I've been shopping. New drill bit, tap, drain plugs, some seals and very expensive washers, new bushings, and in there's some no brand bearings, which are what Paddock supplied me with. I'm not going to change the bearings unless I really have to, so emergencies only. So I'm going to drag the diff over here, get the oil drained out, I think, first, because otherwise I'm going to spill it all over the place, and then get on with drilling the drain plug hole. Actually feels surprisingly rather stable. And the bit we dripped out before looks alright, and this same, doesn't full of metally bits, doesn't smell too bad. Definitely still going to be something in there, but less so. So what I'm going to do now is drill a drain hole in the bottom, just drill and tap through the cast. There's actually a place in the casting where the very early diffs, you know, the held 948s and that sort of age, had a drain plug in, but it was then deleted, and they were considered sealed for, or the oil was for the lifetime of the car. Lifetime of the car should have been about 10 years, and we're now 55-ish later. Yeah, I was debating whether I left the oil in and then drained it after I'd drilled, because then if I did fail to keep swarf out the inside, it would then drain out with the old oil, but it would have just dripped all over the place while I was trying to drill in, so decided not to do that. I'm not sure these aren't, yeah, these are through holes as well. I've still not bought a stud extractor. I'm meaning to. Well, that was a lot of effort. Right, so the drain plug's in, and I'm going to see if I can get one of these sides off. Everything feels fine. I got it sat on the press, and I spotted there's a circlip, and I've just had well, a bit of a struggle trying to get it out. What I eventually had to do was kind of put a tiny screwdriver in between the tiny space that was there, twist that to open it up a bit, lean on the edge with another tiny screwdriver, then I was able to sort of wiggle it up and out. I'll try and film it for the next one, but yeah, we'll see if it happens any quicker. But let's get this on the press and see what happens. Well, it was the right choice because that seal's looking fairly destroyed. I just managed to bend the seal housing on the first output shaft. I'm quite annoyed about it. Anyway, let's see if we can show something sensible about getting this circlip off. It's hard to do that. There you go. Underneath. There you go. Just encouraging it out. Is there an actual sensible way of doing this? So I know what my mistake was. These have got a little ridge in there and I was trying to press the seal out that way. I'm going to see if this will straighten out. I've also sent off a couple of messages to see if I can acquire another one. Partial success. Okay, let's get one side of this done. Figure what I'm going to... Either one of these bits turns up locally, or I just whip the one off the axle that's on the car, which I don't really want to do because I didn't want to immobilise it for any longer than I need to. But these are actually quite simple to take apart, so I'll just be able to switch them around. I suppose I should have realised that because that's the oil side, and your lip should face that way. Surface the seal rides on there, looks fine. They can only go one way, or rather, they don't match up with the casing if they don't go a different way. Gauge with the splines. I don't know what I'm doing at the moment. I'm not remembering to put things back together in the right order. not doing any more for tonight because clearly today is a messing up day. So I got some leads on replacement one of these for the other side. The space, the hole's just got off. And I've nipped out at lunchtime. I'm going to start trying to get this front seal out. Should have got that out in the first place. Don't know why it took so much effort to come off though, because it was only finger tight, because I've already had this off once. It's actually the day the herald got run into. I was taking it up to the club I'm a member of, got a ramp. I was going to look underneath and see if I could change the diff seal in situ. And my plan was, if the seal face had been bad on the one on the herald, I was going to swap this on. So I had to check. Took it off to see what things were like and check it would work. And then I never got there because the car got hit. Looks alright. Let's see if I can do this with a screw down the side. That is an original diff seal. And that's the replacement. Does it matter that it's thinner? Anyway, what I'm destroying is definitely something that can be destroyed at least. It's always a shame, it always seems a shame to do this, but I am going to use this seal because the rubber feels fine and it's clearly of a junkier construction than the modern replacement. Sadly, on closer inspection the rubber does not look fine, which, I mean, you know, how old is this? It's not surprising, is it? But oh, it's a shame. Yeah, it came in a box of other stuff, so I didn't buy it specially. You want it is. With it being shallower though, I don't know if I should shove it all the way in or leave it where it is, because here it's going to be up against. Well, I think this makes sense actually, because this way more of the inside of the diff is sealed. Now for the side piece, I've actually managed to flatten this back out enough so that I can give it a go. It turns out to leak horrendously. At least this is not too terrible to remove on the car. I can swap it out at a later date without a terrible amount of inconvenience. And that actually seems to have worked. So it is sitting flush all the way around. I did checked it with a straight edge. I had managed to get it back to flat, and it's gone back in, and everything is free. So re-clean everything and get a bit of paint on. Tell you what, I'm not a fan of this. Go and get it to spray out the bottle. Had to decant it and thin it, and it's not drying very fast. It says it's overpaintable within 3 hours. Alright, so I've been cleaning up all my threads on this hardware. I'm going to get the front mounting plate thing on. There's something interesting about these bolts. So they are tapered. So obviously to make sure that this bit gets held in exactly the right place. They also had star washers, where most of the Triumph stuff seems to use spring washers. Given it's a bit weird, I'm going to check the torque spec, because it might be different. Mounting plate to high powered housing, it's got to be that, isn't it? 26 to 28. Let's find that one here. Upper pinion for 70 to 85. 26 to 28 and 70 to 85. Crush that crush washer too. These come from some stupid little assortment box I bought 17, 18 years ago. So they come in eventually. Again, not really sure if this matters, but let's put it back where it came from. So we're 72. And we've got space to get a split pin in there, so kind of call that good. So these earlier diffs just get torqued, and the later ones, I think you have to do some performance with shimming. I've got to take the old one off the car. I've put the mounting plate on upside down. Let's get that dealt with. Amazing how much I have to take out to get to this. That's the top of my spring on the top of the diff. So the one I've got on the bench has got 6 holes in it. And this appears to have 4 studs. Now, I was told that this car has a swing spring when I bought it, which I've never really checked on because I've just not had cause to ever go at the rear end of the car. But I guess that's the difference. So given that wasn't done by the previous owner, that was probably done by one of the bodgy restorers that had it before him. So I'm wondering if there's just holes in the top of this diff, because I guess I'm going to have to blank off some of the ones on the one I'm going to fit. Anyway, next thing is to start here, and that will be to take the shocks off, because then we're taking the pressure off the spring, or tension off the spring rather, and then start crawling under the car and unbolting bits that connect the diff to the drivetrain. Yes, our first thing here is to take a bit of the weight of the vertical link. Hopefully just nick this off. Let that down. Do the other side. So I nipped the shocks off too. They came off really easily, which is great, and the bushes on both sides actually look fine, so that's great. Seems to be sort of bright metallic blue under all the filth, so I can never clean up. One of my absolute least favourite jobs, getting those bolts on between the drive shafts and the diff, because you can see like everything's in the way and I've not got much clearance. Got to be done though. Got the diff disconnected from the drivetrain, and this is what was holding the prop shaft to the diff. Well, these are, and they are not correct. So these are screws. They're supposed to be bolts, shouldered bolts of a particular grade, like those. I mean, I kind of suspect that this is one of the few areas of the car I've not been to, and it was not really well looked after before I got to it. Anyway, they will be getting replaced with the proper stuff, which, oops, fortunately I have. I'm just getting towards loosening the diff off and actually dropping it down. So the one on the car is loose-ish. Problem is, so there's swing spring structure. There's one leaf that runs through here, and then some sort of box mechanism, and then the rest of the leaves. And the leaf that runs through this channel is sort of stuck in that channel, not coming out. It's moved a little bit, but that's what's holding the diff on the car. So I'm just currently trying to free that off without dropping the diff on the floor. Well, it's out. It did slip off the jack to the end, well, slipped off the jack onto the jack, as it were. Once I managed to break it free from the spring, it was kind of getting it out of these mounting points here and forward. This was the second difficult bit, or the extra difficult bit. Let's get it dragged out and have a look. Well, there we go, in all its filthy glory. So there's not much, a little bit of backlash on the input, but it's this that feels the worst. That, and be able to pick up that click if I turn it hard. It has been sort of sensibly blanked. These look like little slot head, might be DIY plugs. And this looks like someone's DIY attempt at the centre of a bush, because it's just sort of hanging in there. But we got a replacement, and I'll get around to investigating this at some point and see what it's like. There's a swing spring on the car. They take 4 studs, outermost studs on this casing, which is for a 6-stud car. The early Spitfires, Heralds, Vitesse probably don't really know too much about Vitesse, had 6-hole casings, and we got a swing spring on this car, which takes 4 studs. So the extra holes need blanking off. The ones on the diff on the car are some homemade affairs. I'm not going to try and get them out, I'm just going to do the same. If I'd have thought about it, I would have bought some nice little Allen bolts, but I'm going to cut a bolt down and cut some slot screw place in the top. So. Last thing is get these bushes in. I'm going to give it a go. Like this without trying to put it on the press. So we can always put it on the press afterwards. Because really it was quite a balancing act. Too hot, I'm going up for today. Decided last night I wanted to try and clean up that disgusting undersealy stuff off of the shocks. Mostly because I wanted to see if I could find what was under this label, but it's what was on this label, but it's kind of far gone. Maybe the other one will be better. But I kind of wrapped them up in foil and put a bit of white spirit in there, and it worked very well. And softened up, and this scraping off quite nicely. The other thing I want to do before putting it in the car, last thing I want to do before putting it in the car, is give it a bit of a flush out, because I think, I tried quite hard to catch any swarf from the drilling and tapping with grease, and so I think it should be pretty good, but I'm just going to give it a flush out with oil. Give it the best possible chance of not having crap in it. So what I'm going to do is going to fill it up with whatever I've got lying around, and then drain it out, let it sit. that's had a bit of time to drain out. I've just given a bit of a blast through it with brake cleaner as well, just to kind of push through anything that was sitting around. So I'll get that plug back in and then start trying to get it back onto the car. So it is in the right place and supported by the jack. I did just catch it on the prop shaft there. Everything was going fine except for that. Yeah, now it's just a case of trying to get all the bolts lined up. I've had a go. I can't get the camera under here, so I'll see you when I've got a bit further. Right, so this is where we are. I've got the front in, well, loosely bolted. I've got all the studs through the spring and into the diff, but I can't get the rear. So you see through there, just about. I can't get the rear to line up. And if I jack up onto the diff, I get to the point of lifting the car before anything starts to move. So I think I might just load the boot with everything really heavy I can find and see if that helps. So it's had to come out again. I just couldn't, even with whatever I tried, I couldn't get these to go high enough in the chassis to actually meet up with the bolt that goes through these bushes. Now, I'm just going to go under the car, give the mounting points a clean up and measure them, because I don't know if the bush, I suspect that the mounting points have been, it looks like the bolt's been gorillaed up. I suspect there's been a bit of crush on the mounting points. But I'm going to measure those, measure the space on the car, measure those, that diameter, measure that distance as well between the two, and see if that's correct or not, and then work out what I can do about it. In the meantime, that's how the shocks came up. This is all there is left, label wise, so I don't know. I probably should give them a cut of paint now, shouldn't I? Okay, so these measure 39.1 to 9.15mm, and the chassis mounting points something like 38.5. So I'm going to reduce the width of these tubes because they're clearly not going in as they are. Thought I had it there. It's close. You know, the fun line on the floor jobs. I did take some bits off the edge of the bushes with the angle grinder. It's slipping in nicely now, and I've got the front mounts in, and I'm just working on actually getting the rear fully lined up so I can get the big bolt through. With combination jacks, that bolt's in. Everything else is in loosely. Well, everything else. The diff is mounted in loosely. I've got to connect the prop shaft up. I've just stuck the exhaust hanger I took off in a bit of degreaser because it's filthy. And yeah, it's just putting stuff back together now. God, it just takes ages, doesn't it? Anyway, let's hope this is... well, the diff feels like it's going to work. Let's hope it really does work. Okay, so everything under the car is now done up. Exhaust back on, diff's back on, prop shaft and drive shafts connected. It's full of oil. And I'm going to clean up the shocks and give them a coat of paint. Unfortunately not metallic blue. I would have quite liked that, but I don't have any. And you know, they are shock absorbers. I don't really look at them very often. It's a few days later because I've been away for work, but I'm going to get the shocks on, and that's the last bit of actual assembly outside the car needs doing. I'm going to get all this put back together, and then we'll give it a test. Okay, it's back together. Let's give it a go. not yet getting any of the clunking noises that I was hearing. I think they were due to the bush not having one of the bushes was definitely, the metal bit was not attached to the rubber bit anymore, so that's not going to have done us any good. Actually, I still think I can hear a bit of the clunking I was trying to get rid of in the first place. And diff's definitely working. No horrible noise or whining or... I know we've figured out the engine's a bit worn out, and it still pulls fine. Okay, I had slightly better success keeping the camera in place on the car this time. It's going a bit wobbly because the hanger is a bit cheap and crappy and the camera's quite heavy. Anyway, Spitfire sorted for now. I'm going to have to do some work on the engine, but that's probably going to be, it might even be after the GT6 gets on the road. I don't have the space really to have two cars I can't drive in the garage at the same time. Well, I can't work like that. I might try and find a spare engine, build that, and it means the swap over is very quick. Relatively quick. Anyway, all that's for a later time. Very shortly we're going to be coming up on work on the Mk3 GT6, and I'm quite excited about that. So if you want to watch that, make sure you're subscribed, and that'll let you know when that's coming out. But for the moment, thanks everyone who is subscribed, thank you for watching, thanks to everyone who comments, and I will see you next time.